Today, the Texas Secretary of State is heading to the University of Texas campus to encourage students to vote.
It's all part of a voter outreach program the state is required to do after a federal court ruling that the voter ID law discriminates against minorities and the poor. Kate Whiteout live on campus this morning with the details. And Kate, you talked to the Secretary of State about this visit.
I did, and he typically does these types of visits to encourage people to go out and vote. Today, here on the UT campus, he's going to be speaking to a history class. But this outreach is also all part of a state agreement with the federal court that requires them to spend $2.5 million to be able to go out and do some voter outreach and education. The Secretary of State told us his main message to students today is if you're registered to vote, actually go to the polls. And for those who are not registered, he said he wants to pick their brain on why they aren't interested in the voting process. Studies have shown that college-age students who have a low voter turnout, but when they do go to the polls, often vote Democratic. There's also been a lot of scrutiny with our lawmakers and not making it easier for college students to cast a ballot. Many have said they should be able to use their college ID, something that is not allowed under the current law.
The part of the problem is that you have a lot of college students that are transient students. I mean, they come from other states, other parts of the other parts of Texas. I think that we need to do whatever we can do to make sure that voting is available to every Texan that is qualified and eligible to vote.
I think the most important thing here is that if you get people to vote early, what we know from research is that you inculcate them in the habit of voting. Voting is very habitual, both doing it and how you vote.
And that right there was Jim Henson with the Texas Politics Project here at UT. He said their polling is indicating there is not an uptick in interest among young voters, particularly college-aged, even early 20-somethings, on this entire election, especially ever since Bernie Sanders dropped out. Now, if you're not registered to vote and you want to, you need to register 30 days prior to Election Day. And I posted a link on how to go about doing that with this story at KXAN.com. We're live on the UT campus. Kate Whiteout, KXAN News.
Kate, thank you. And here's some background on why the state is starting this voter outreach program. It's part of an agreement settled earlier this month over the voter ID law. It means that if you don't have one of the 7 mandatory state-approved IDs, you can still vote by signing an affidavit and presenting a paycheck, a bank statement, utility bill, or government document that includes your name on it. The state's voter ID law has been controversial since it passed back in 2011. 5 years later, the law is still going through the legal system, and here's the gist of the argument. Critics say that the strict voter ID law leaves hundreds of thousands of Texans without the chance to vote because they lack a suitable form of ID, but supporters say they're just trying to prevent voter fraud.